I want to start by describing a set of views that many of you probably believe. So I'm going to give you a cluster of views. Logically speaking, you could believe some of these things and not all of them. But here's a set of views that many of you probably believe, and I imagine most of you believe at least some of these things. So here's the set of common views. First of all, that we have a soul. That is to say, we're not just bodies, we're not just lumps of bone and flesh, but there's a part of us, perhaps the essential part of us, that is something more than the physical, the spiritual, immaterial part of us, which, as I say in this class, we'll call a soul. So most of us, most of you probably believe in soul. Certainly most people in America believe in some sort of immaterial soul. And given this existence of this immaterial soul, it's a possibility, indeed a fair likelihood, that we will survive our deaths. The death will be the destruction of my body, but my soul is immaterial, and so my soul can continue to exist after my death. And whether or not you actually believe in a soul, you hope that there's a soul, so that there'll be this serious possibility of surviving your death, because death is not only bad, but so horrible that what we would like to have happen is we would like to live forever. And so armed with the soul, as it were, there's at least the possibility of immortality. Immortality would be wonderful. That's what we hope is the case, whether or not we know that it's the case. Immortality would be wonderful. That's why death's so bad. It robs us of immortality. And if there is no soul, if death is the end, if there is no immortality, this is such an overwhelmingly bad thing that the obvious reaction, the natural reaction, the universal reaction is to face the prospect of death with fear and despair. And as I mentioned earlier, then, death is so horrible and life is so wonderful that it could never make sense to throw it away. And so suicide is both immoral on the one hand and never makes sense. It's always irrational as well, in addition. All right, that, as I say, is, I think, a common set of views about the nature of death. And what I'm going to be doing, what I'm going to be arguing in this class, is that that set of views is pretty much mistaken from beginning to end. And so I'm going to try to convince you that there is no soul, immortality would not be a good thing, fear of death isn't actually an appropriate response to death, suicide under certain circumstances might be rationally, morally justified. As I say, the common picture is pretty much mistaken from start to end. That's at least my goal. That's my aim. That's what I'm going to be doing.